AB Sabbath Church. I want to thank God again for allowing me to be before you today. When I woke up in the morning, I did not see the postcode, so I thought I'm going to get lost. I was there once, but I don't remember how I came here. So I phoned my young man Nube here and said, give me the postcode. If I'm late, I'll tell the church it's your fault. So he did right on time, so I'm here. Thank you so much, and thank you all. There's a story we want to share before we get into into today's lesson. I don't know if I've told you this story before. If I have, listen again for the second time. I always want to talk about this story. It reminds me, it has a lot of lessons about how we behave when we are in church. So there was a man. He was one of the church elders. And on this day, he got so sick, and they took him to hospital. So as he was in hospital, he couldn't talk. And people would go and see him every day, pray for him and everything. But on this day, the pastor went. You know, in most cases, pastors are allowed to come into hospital earlier than anyone else. But in this country, I don't know, it's a bit different. But in other countries, if you're a pastor, you can go in any time and minister to the patient and leave. And even some elders have got special certificates to go in and see patients earlier, and even go to prison and pray for the prisoners while it's not a visiting time. So this pastor went early and arrived at the bed of this elder. And the elder had every pipe on him. You know, he had the pipe for the oxygen pipe. He had another pipe from the mouth. I think it was the feeding one. He had all the pipes you think of when you go to hospital. And he was really not well. So the pastor went and stood closer to him and stood by the bed. And as he stood there, this man started gasping and trying to talk, but because he had a big pipe on his mouth, he couldn't talk. So he signaled to the pastor that he needs a pen and a paper. The pastor took a paper and a pen, and the man wrote something quickly, but as he finished, he died. So as when the man died, the pastor took the paper, folded it, put it in his pocket, and said to himself, I will not read this message. I will do the honor of reading this message on the funeral of this man. Do you remember the story? Yes. So the man went on, and on the funeral day, the pastor said to the congregation, beloved, I have a message which was written by this man. This was his last message before he died. And I was the last person who was there before he died. But I never read this message. I'm going to read it to you loudly before we go to our service. And everybody was quiet listening. The pastor took out the paper and he read loudly. You know, sometimes when you read, you don't think. But he was reading loudly without thinking. And he read, the paper read, Pastor, you are stepping on my oxygen pipe. And Pastor realized that he had caused the death of this man when he thought he had gone to pray. You know, sometimes as church, when we come to the church, could be elders, Sabbath school leaders, Sabbath school teachers. When we come to the church, let us be careful not to stand on anybody's oxygen pipe. Your actions in church obstruct people from seeing the Lord. They are gasping for air because of your actions in church. And the prayer they are always doing, they are asking, they are gasping to say, can you step aside, give me a space with my God? When we come to church, it's for you and your God. When you go home today, ask yourself, am I stepping on anybody's pipe? I don't know whose oxygen pipe you are stepping on, but today are you stepping on anybody's oxygen pipe? But we want to benefit from the book of Exodus. I was saying to my elder here earlier that, elder, the topic for today is called Moses. Moses is not my name, but it's the topic for today. So I thank God the elder corrected it quickly. So there was this man called Moses. This is our topic for today. And Moses was chosen by God. So Moses was the only man, I don't know if you understand this, Moses was the only man of his age during his time in all Israel, in all the Jews. Do you understand this? Why? Because when Moses was born that time, every male child was meant to be killed. So every child who was born as a boy was killed. And only Moses survived. So Moses was selected, appointed, and ordained by God before he was born. And his job was to come and save the children of Israel from the bondage of Egypt back to their promised land. You see, the children of Israel had a land promised to them before they were even slaves. If you want to think in human time, God had promised them a land 450 years back. Some of us here, we get tired after our prayers are not answered after 1 week. The children of Israel had a prayer which was answered 450 years later. Daniel, his prayer was answered over 75 years later. So, sometimes it took long because my 1 year is a second in God's time. When you pray for something and you don't seem to see the answer, just pray for patience. The politicians always say, with patience, you can carry water in a sieve. That's a Chinese proverb. And they say, why? Because you have to wait until the water freezes. If it's frozen, you can carry it in a sieve. It does not leak. Sometimes we need the patience to freeze our problems, then we can carry them in a sieve. We are so impatient in our prayers that we doubt God because the answers have not come at the time you want. But Moses then was going to answer the 450 years prayer. So he was very special. There are only 2 men I know in the Bible who were of their age, and they were only ones, Moses and Jesus Christ. They all came to save. Jesus, when he was born, all the children who were men were killed. So he was only left the only one. And when Moses was born, all the boy children were killed, and he was the only one. So he was unique in his own time. So when Moses was born, his aim was to remove the children from Egypt. That means he was going to be fighting spiritually, fighting physically, Pharaoh and his kingdom. Because he was taking the slaves from Pharaoh and make Pharaoh work instead of making his children work. And because of that, Moses, when he was born, the devil had made everything around him to kill him. He was going to be killed by Pharaoh himself. Why? Pharaoh represented the kingdom of Egypt. And the throne of Pharaoh was represented by a head of a cobra. The cobra meant the Pharaoh, meant the king of Egypt. And the Nile River was the river of life. So there was a god of Nile because it represented life for the Egyptians. And the reeds which grew along Nile River represented the greenness, life, and vegetation of Egypt. So everything around there had a symbol for Egypt. But when Moses was born, the mother quickly created a basket of reeds. And when she made the basket of reeds, put Moses in the basket and threw Moses in the Nile River and made the sister to wait and see if Moses will be safe. And then when Moses is hungry, she will call the mother who will feed Moses privately. But on this morning, one morning, when Moses was floating on Nile River, remember, the whole night, the snakes of the river would coil around the basket, but could not bite him. Those which meant to destroy him protected him over the night. The river which meant to sweep him away protected him overnight. Then came the princess. When the princess came and found Moses, I'll go it quickly. And then the princess took Moses, and the sister said, I can get you a woman who can look after this. And then the princess saved Moses. And Moses, when he was of age, he was then taken to live in the palace. Can you imagine? The king who was supposed to kill Moses looked after Moses and made him a prince. No, sometimes the problems you are afraid of, God has made them to test you and make you a prince or a princess. You know, those people who meant to destroy you by what they say, God has made them to protect and save you without knowing. That's why I say sometimes when God is fighting for you, you feel like he's fighting you. But he is actually fighting for you. Who have imagined during Moses' time that the cobra itself will protect Moses? The Pharaoh himself will protect Moses. Then the story went very fast. And then Moses ran away from Egypt when then he was about to be killed. Now we go to our story. Moses went to this land of Midian. And when he arrived there, Moses, you know the story? He went to the well. He saw the ladies who were being bullied. I don't know if you have grown up in a village like I did. There are always bullies. When you go to look for cattle, there are bullies. When you go to look for firewood, you meet bullies. When you go to fetch water, there is always a bully somewhere. That's how I grew up. But then Moses, when he arrived there, he saw these men bullying the women. He went there, he fought the men, he took the women in front, fed their beasts, and then the women says to him, for what you have done for us, let us go and show you our father. That's how Moses went to live with Zipporah's dad. So when he arrived there, the father said, oh, stay here with us, help us. We don't have a son in this house. So Moses became part of them. And along the way, Moses took Zipporah for wife, and they were married. And Moses had 2 children. But the story here goes on. Moses met God when he went up the forest to look after his sheep. He saw a burning bush, the first miracle. Then God talked to Moses and told Moses, I want you to go and save my people, lead them out of Egypt. God told him all the orders, what he should do. And then Moses agreed and said, I will do that. But one thing which Moses did, when God said, speak to Pharaoh, Moses said, how can I speak to Pharaoh, for I am a stammerer? Let me tell you, church. Moses had seen a bush burning, but not consumed by the fire. What a miracle. And Moses saw his own stick turning into a snake and back again into a stick. What a miracle. Moses had seen his hand getting leprosy, and when he put it under his armpits, it came out clean. What a miracle. But he did not believe that this same God who has done these miracles can heal him from his stammering. So he said he used his weakness as a reason not to work for God. And God said, because of that, you will stammer until your death. But you still go. I'll use your brother to talk on your behalf. If Moses had believed in God first time, he would die without stammering. But anyway, that's not the story. So the day came, God told Moses, you now have to go. So Moses took his wife and his 2 children. And when he took his 2 children, the Bible says, Exodus 4, verse 25. As he journeyed that day, Moses arrived at an inn. An inn is like a hotel, Holiday Inn. right? So he said, Moses arrived at an inn. On the way, the Lord met him and sought to put him to death. Have you ever thought that God wanted to kill Moses? If you read the earlier verses, God was telling Moses how he's going to save his people in Egypt. But along the way, God had decided to kill Moses. And then, on the time of that time when he was about to be killed, not by anything else, but by God, Zipporah, the wife, woke up. And Zipporah took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin and touched Moses' feet with it and said, surely you are my bridegroom of blood to me. You know, during the night, probably 12 midnight, God met Moses in an inn, in a hotel. Moses was resting, sleeping, and God had come with one purpose, not to bless him, but to kill him. No, when he wanted to kill him, then Zipporah stood and woke up. It was that time when Zipporah always woke up. It was not by accident. Zipporah was a woman who would wake up midnight and talk to God. So as she started talking to God, she realized that things are different. It's not the same God I speak to. This one is angry and seeks to kill my husband. She then remembers what has the husband done. She could not find any. Then finally she realized in all her work preparing to lead the people of Israel from Egypt, Moses forgot to minister to his own children. He forgot to circumcise his children. And she knew because of this, God will be angry and God will surely kill him. She took a stone and cut off the foreskin and put the blood on the feet of Moses. Church, you might be a church elder and you work so hard for this church to start. You wake up early in the morning, you come and do everything. You prepare for people of God to come and worship. But if you don't minister to your own children, God will seek to kill you one day. You know, it is not how good you work, but it is how good you come along with your family. My brother, it doesn't matter what you do at home, but if you do not look back and bring along your family, God will seek to kill you. When God sought to kill Moses, the church now is looking for a person like Zipporah who understands that this time things are not good in this family and this is from God, and she will intercede between you and God. You know, we are looking for people who can realize, who can read spiritual situation in the family, that this needs time to wake up. I can imagine when Zipporah woke up, she sang probably a song which I love so much early in the morning. Lord, in the morning thou shalt hear my voice shall sending out to thee will I direct my prayer to thee, lift up my... Zipporah woke up in the morning, called upon the Lord, said, Lord, this is the morning. Can you hear my voice as it ascends high? That it meets you up there. And when she prays, the Lord revealed to her that I am here to kill your husband and not to bless you. Church leaders, sometimes you wake up in the morning, things are not working at home. You ask yourself, why is it that pastors' children are the problem on earth? Why is it elders' children are the problem? Why is it when I go to church and fast, that's when I get problems? Sometimes we've forgotten to remove that foreskin from your eyes so that you can see the Lord. There is something obstructing you from God, and God will seek to kill you. You have to move together with your family. What we have here, we are looking for mothers who wake up in the morning and intercede between themselves and their children and God. These children, they become a problem at school because the mother is not waking up to ask Lord to bless them. Some of them are dying spiritually. The Lord is letting them because the mother is not waking up like Zipporah. We are here to look for people like Zipporah who would know that the things in the family are not working because there's something my husband is lacking, and they pray for him. The church is looking for children who wake up in the morning and pray for their parents so that the parents can remove the foreskin from their face, that they can see the Lord, and then the family can move on. Your business might not be moving the way you want. Did you wake up early in the morning? Did you sing loudly, Lord, in the morning, can you hear me pray? Many people will be suffering and blame God. Let me tell you, Christians are never meant to suffer. We are always the head. But we are at the back because we are not waking up in the morning and call upon God. I am looking for a Zipporah who would wake up early morning and say, Lord, in the morning you shall hear my voice ascending high. You will pray for your way, that Lord, this way can you make it clear. You pray for your duties, for your work, and for everything. And you know, God is not only giving this task on Zipporah, He is giving this task on you. When did you last wake up in the morning and pray for your family? A story is told as I conclude. One day, a church, an Adventist church, they bought a church, a beautiful church. Then after some time, they had an effort where they were preaching every day for 3 weeks. Many people came to church, but next door to them, there was a brothel. So the prostitutes from the brothel came to church, and they left the ways of the brothel. And now the owner of the brothel was so angry because he was not getting business anymore because of the church which was next door. So he went to court and sued the church, and he said, this church and their God have made my clients run away. When they come to the brothel, they hear the word and go to church. Now I'm losing business. So the elders looked for lawyers. You know, lawyers are very good people sometimes. And this lawyer said to the elders, don't worry, I'll deal with this case. The lawyer went to God and said to church and said, to court and said, Judge, I only asked these people to go and sue God because this church is not ours, it's for God. So they can sue God, they can send the summons wherever they think God can be found. We are only doing God's work. And the judge slept the whole night. And in the morning he woke up. He called the lawyers in court and said, the problem I'm having here, I've got a brothel owner who believes in the prayers of the church. And I've got the church leaders who don't believe in their own prayers. Are you getting the point? The church did not understand that it was their prayer which turned the brothel. But the brothel owner saw the light of God. Sometimes what we pray for is not answered because we do not believe into our prayers. We actually allow the brothel owner to believe in our God, and we are afraid, and we say, no, it's not our God, look for him yourself. The church has come to a point where they don't believe in their own prayers. It is my prayer today that as you pray for your family, remember Zipporah. She woke up, prayed for the husband. Not only prayed, she corrected the thing which the husband has not done. Moses had forgotten to circumcise his children, had forgotten to bring along his children before God. And God was prepared to kill him regardless of the work he was doing. Regardless of the work you are doing, when you leave your family behind, God will seek to kill you. It is my prayer that when you leave this place, go home, look back. Where have you left your family? Where have you left your children? Where have you left your parents? Can you bring them together so that when God comes in the morning, when Zipporah sings, Lord, in the morning, you will sing with her. When Zipporah says, God, hear my voice ascending high to you, you look up and have your voice ascend high. Let me tell you, church. One day, the first plane which was made in America, when it was flying, it was carrying passengers over 100. And these passengers were engineers, the pilots, different people in there. And as the plane went up, you know, Americans, they love cheering their people. So there were those called cheerleaders with flags of blue and red, a sea of the American flag and stars. And they were waving their flags as the plane went up. So as the plane was going up, they were cheering and singing, shouting them as America, the master of science. So as the plane went at a certain level, the pilot was looking and get attracted to the cheering of the mob down there. But the people were calling, the controllers from the control room, they were saying to the pilot, "Pilot, can you put your flight a bit higher so that we can communicate?" You know, but the man did not put the flight higher because he could not hear. He remained at one place where he was enjoying the praises of those below. But as he looked down, enjoying this and getting the pride of what people were saying, the plane kept going. And when he looked up in front, alas, he was facing a big mountain. There was no time for him to go up. And he crashed into the mountain, and 100 people perished. And in the control room, they kept shouting, "Can you put your plane higher so that we can meet?" The angels are calling upon you. The angels are calling upon you, Ngube, Deborah. God is saying, can you bring your prayer effort higher so that we can communicate? You cannot remain where you started. Can you come up higher in your prayer so that the angels and the Lord can communicate with you? Where is your plane today? They are crying and shouting for your salvation. Bring that plane higher so that we can communicate. Be a Zipporah in your family. Pray for your family and remember them as you go. God bless you.